So today we'll have a brief discussion on an important topic for the final year students because a long note question definitely comes on this topic or either short note questions, then divided versions come on this topic. So today we'll be dealing with cleaning and shaping of the radicular spaces. So it has got a lot, as in it is a very large topic. It has got the instrument standardization, the classification of instruments, various type of instruments, their motions, everything. So I'll try to make this as interesting as possible for all of you, so that it doesn't hinder your mood today and you gain a lot out of it. So
Trul, is the screen visible and am I audible?
Yeah, Saloni, your screen is visible and you're audible.
Okay. So let's start with the topic that is cleaning and shaping of radicular spaces. So basically, when you perform a root canal treatment, so there are several steps, and the three main important steps or the three main important phases in which a root canal treatment or an endodontic treatment is divided is proper access preparation, shaping and cleaning, and obturation. A proper access cavity preparation or opening of the tooth is a major or a very important step in a root canal treatment. After that or following that is your shaping and cleaning, which we'll discuss today. And then when you seal that space, that is known as obturation. So today we'll be dealing with an integral part, that is shaping and cleaning of the root canal space. Now, as the name itself suggests, so the definition is that the name itself suggests shaping and cleaning. That is, you're shaping something and you're cleaning something. Until unless you clean that thing, you can't shape that thing. So, shaping and cleaning of a root canal system consists of, when you clean something, you remove something of the pulp chamber or the root canal space. So, you remove the pulp tissue and the debris. Basically, in a tooth, in a root canal space, what you have is pulp tissue and the debris, which causes the inflammation, which causes the infection. So, shaping and cleaning is nothing but removing the pulp tissue and the debris from the canal and then shaping the canal to receive an obturating material. So, basically, you remove the pulp tissue and the debris from the canal and then you shape the canal so that you can put a material or suitable inert material in it. So this is the basic definition of shaping and cleaning. Then you have some goals of shaping and cleaning. So definitely the goals or the major objectives which come under shaping and cleaning are, firstly, which the definition says itself, that is nothing but removing or debriding the infected uh, debris or the pulp tissue. So that is nothing but to debride and disinfect the root canal. The main objective is, as the definition says, cleaning and shaping. So first we'll say cleaning, that is debridement. So that is debridement of the debris and disinfection of the root canal. That is the main objective. And secondly, it is the shaping or contouring of the root canal for the purpose of putting an inert material so that it's sealed. So it is nothing but shaping or contouring of the root canal. So these are the major objectives. What the chapter we are dealing with, that is shaping and cleaning, what the definition says, everything revolves around the word shaping and cleaning. Just we are adding terms to shaping and cleaning. So firstly, it's the debridement. You debride the debris of the root canal and you disinfect the canal. And then that's followed by shaping or contouring the canal walls so that an adequate space is prepared, so that an inert material can be inside the canal, so that an inert material can be filled in the canal, so that the canal can be sealed. So that is the main objective. And the goals which we have, so the goals of shaping and cleaning the radicular space includes, firstly, when you debride this, you have to make sure that you eliminate all microorganisms. When you shape and clean the canal, when you clean the canal, when you debride the canal, or when you disinfect the canal, you need to take care that you eliminate all the microorganisms. That's why we are doing cleaning and shaping, to eliminate the microorganisms. So objective is this, and to fulfill this, the goal we have is to eliminate the microorganisms from the canal. Secondly, how do you eliminate these microorganisms? When are you able to eliminate the microorganisms from the canal? That could be possible when you completely remove the pulp tissue. When you completely remove the pulp tissue. अगर remnants रह जाते हैं, then you won't be able to completely eliminate the microorganisms, or then you won't be able to debride or disinfect the canal completely. So it is when you eliminate the microorganisms, that is by the complete removal of the pulp tissue. Then third is, now you have completely eliminated the microorganisms. Now you have completely removed the pulp tissue. Now you focus on shaping and contouring. So the third goal is to increase the capacity of the root canal to perform any kind of irrigations so that it is effective in disinfection. So you increase the capacity, contour the canal in such a way, that is increase the capacity of the root canal, so that if you provide any kind of irrigant for root canal disinfection, so that reaches the apical third of the root and effective cleaning of the canal takes place. And the fourth thing is to shape the root canal to receive obturating material easier to fill and fit. The fourth objective being shaping or contouring of the canal so that you receive an obturating material like the gatta parcha. As we all know, the most common obturating material, that is gatta parcha, so that it is easier to fill in the canal or easier to fit in the canal. So these are the primary objectives of cleaning and shaping of the root canal. Debridement, shaping, contouring, disinfection, all words used interchangeably. Similarly are the goals, that is complete removal of the pulp tissue, which could be by the elimination of microorganisms, and then you increase the capacity of the root canal, you shape the canal, you contour the canal so that you can fill the canal with a proper obturating material. Next, we come to the most important thing, that is instrument standardization. So there is some important thing, that is standardization of the endodontic instruments. So before going into the details of cleaning and shaping, one must be aware of the instruments which we use for cleaning and shaping of the canals. So and before going to even the instruments, like what type of instruments we use, we'll discuss that in the classification part. But before going to that also, there should be some instrument standardization. The instrument you use, you should be aware ki what is the pattern of the instrument, what is the design of the instruments that we use, because you're dealing in a very complicated area, a very narrow space. So knowing the basics of the instrument is very important. So there are some instrument standardization protocols here. Like we have 4 major protocols of instrument standardization. If you see an instrument, that is basically a file or a reamer. So if you see that, so first thing that comes into mind is the various size, shapes, diameter, taper, these things. When you see an endodontic file, I hope everybody would have seen an endodontic file. Can I have in the chat box like people who have seen endodontic files, reamers, or even people who have done root canals? Cool. So if we talk about the standardization, so the first thing, so this is Ingalls and Levine standardization of endodontic instruments, hand instruments. Ingalls and Levine standardization. So they have basically given first 4 standardization protocols. The first one being the numbering of the instrument. Okay, so definitely you must have seen there are like endo is a very colorful field as well, because you have got a lot of numbers, a lot of colors. So firstly you have number of the instrument. So they have they have said that the instrument are numbered from 10 to 100. They have said that the instruments are numbered from 10 to 100, and it would advance by 5 units till 60 number, and it would advance by 10 units up to the size of 100. So this is the first thing, that they have divided the instruments numbered from 10 to 100, and it would advance by 5 units. That means 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. And after 60 till 100, they'll expand by 10, they'll express by, they'll be increased by 10 units, that is 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, like this, by 5 units each and by 10 units each. So they will advance by 5 units till 60 number, and they will advance by 10 units till 100 number. Now, secondly, what they have given, first is the numbering one. Second is that each number which we have will be representative of a diameter of the instrument in hundredth of a millimeter. Each number, so we're talking about the diameter here. So each number will be representative of the diameter in hundredth of a millimeter. They are saying, for example, if we say 20 number, if we say 20 number, so the diameter would be 20 by 100, because they have said 1/100th of a millimeter, that is 0.20 mm. So basically what they say is each number shall be representative of the diameter of the instrument in hundredth of a millimeter at the tip. This is a point to be marked at the tip. They're talking about the tip. This. We'll come to this diagram once we go through all the points. So they're saying that, for example, if this is a 20 number file, so divided by 100, because it's hundredth of a millimeter, so we get 0.20. So this is the diameter of a 20 number file at the tip. This is the diameter. For example, if we have a 50 number file, then it would be 0.50 mm. The diameter at the tip would be 0.50 mm. Then the next thing is, the third point is that the working flutes or the blades which an instrument has, the flutes or the blades which an instrument has, it shall begin on D0, the diameter that is designated as D0, the tip diameter, and it should terminate exactly 16 mm from the shaft. This is at the tip, and this is the shaft of the instrument. So this blades should terminate 16 mm above the shaft. The distance from the tip till the end where the blades terminate should be 16 mm. So the point where the blades terminate is designated as D16. The tip diameter is designated as D0, and the distance between D0 and D16 should be 16 mm. And the fourth point is that the diameter at D16 will be 0.32 mm greater than that at D0. So they have specified this as well, that the diameter at D16, the tip diameter they specified earlier, would be hundredth of the millimeter of the instrument number. Okay. And at D16, it would be 0.32 mm added to D0. For example, if you have an instrument, for example, 20 number only, so the tip diameter was 0.20. This was tip diameter or D0. If we talk about D16, then you add 0.32 to this, that is 0.52 is going to be the diameter at D16, or this is the diameter at D16. So these are the four simple rules which they had given earlier. So these were the four simple rules. Again, we'll see once. Firstly is the numbering from 10 to 100, and it is going to advance by 5 units till 60 number and 10 units till 100 number. Secondly was the diameter, that it is 1/100th millimeter at the tip. So for example, if there is a 20 number instrument or a 30 number instrument, it is going to be divided by 100, and whatever comes will be the diameter at the tip of the instrument. Then they said that because the blade ends at a distance, so that distance should be 16 mm apart from the D0, and that is known as D16 because it is ending at 16 mm apart of D0, so that is D16, and the distance between DO and D16 basically becomes 16 mm. Also, now because we have talked of tip diameter, so there's going to be a diameter at D16 also, which is going to be 0.32 added to D0, the tip diameter. So anything which is at the tip, you need to add 0.32 mm to the diameter. So that is the diameter at D16. Now, they actually following specifications were then added later. These were the four basic ones, and then they added some specifications later, which were that there was something added new was tip angle. So they added something that is tip angle. If you see this, so this is your tip, and this angle that is being formed. So the tip angle of the instrument should be 75 mm plus minus 15 mm. So they gave a standard that the tip angle should be 75 degree plus minus 15 degrees. This is the one thing they added new, that is the, because tip diameter they have told, diameter 16 mm apart they have told. Now what was left was some angle, so they added tip angle. Then secondly, they said that they also introduced 6 and 8 number. 6 and 8 number were added to the instrument selection. Abhi they said first point was कि 10 to 100 तक numbering है. Then they added 6 and 8 number as well for narrow canals. So 6 and 8 number were also added. Then instrument handles जो थे, they have been color coded for easier recognition. So the three new points which we had was tip angle, addition of 6 and 8 numbers, files, and also the color coding. So these three new things were added to the old specifications. Coming to this diagram and explaining this here. So I think it is clear that this is the tip diameter D0. 16 mm apart you have D16. This is the shaft, this is the handle, these are the blades. And this is the tip angle of 75 degrees. So the thing which they said that we'll add color coding. So this is a table which is there in Grossman as well, and a beautiful table showing the color coding and the numbers. They added these two, 6 and 8, and they said that 10 to 100 to we'll have. Also, one more thing is that they have also increased numbers above 100. Like firstly they said that 10 to 100 so was their standard thing. Earlier they added before this later they added 6 to 8 before this, and also up to 140 or 150 they added after this. So this is also one more thing कि before भी add किया है 6 to 8 और wider canals के लिए भी add किया है, narrow canals के लिए 6 to 8 और wider canals के लिए 140 150 तक भी उन्होंने extend किया है. Now this is the color coding that is there, and a trick to remember this is, if you have confusion, if you can remember like this it's fine, but a trick to remember this is, see, it's going to start with pink because endo is a female dominated department, basically what we have seen. So it's going to start with pink. So you can remember like this, that starts with pink because endo conservative is a female dominated department when it comes to PG basically. So pink is the first thing. And numbering you can write 6, 8. Numbering now you know. So because you have 6, 8, 10, 15, 20. So first you mention the numbers. Then you start with pink. Then it's gray, purple, white, yellow. So a trick is, one thing could be this, you remember pink or you remember PRP, and then you remember what you read before going to bed. Abhi after this you are going to definitely go to bed. So what you read before going to bed is a very suitable mnemonics present here. This is what you read before going to bed. So this could be written as like this, or you can be why yelling red because green blacked out. This could one another be mnemonic, which whatever is suitable to you, you can remember through that. One could be why yelling red because green blacked out. This is from 15, sorry. Either why yelling to red because green blacked out, or what you read before going to bed. Whichever is suitable to you, you can remember for this. So you write the numbers on one side, you write the mnemonics on the other side, and the colors are clear. The next important thing which you need to study is the components of an endodontic file. So there are some confusing terms which one gets confused with when you talk about taper, flutes, cutting edge, helix angle, rake angle. So there are few components of an endodontic file which is very important to be discussed. First is the taper. Now, taper in a layman word, everybody understands is nothing but if this is thing, something like this, a conical thing. So this is the taper, like it's increasing like this. So this is the taper when you give a taper. So this is the taper. Basically, uh, something which is increasing with every is the taper. So basically, taper denotes per millimeter increase in the file diameter from the tip towards the file handle. It is nothing but a per millimeter increase. That is, can you see from here the tip diameter to the angle? The taper is increasing. That is, it is increasing increase. So it is nothing but the per millimeter increase in the diameter of a file from the tip towards the instrument handle. That is basically a taper. And traditional ISO standardization have given that every instrument has got a minimum 2% taper. Every instrument has got a 2% taper in itself. Though variable tapers are available like 4%, 6%, 8%, everything is available, but every instrument has got a minimum taper of 2%. Next, we have flutes. Now, what is a flute? It is nothing but the grooves or the reliefs on the working surface of the file, which basically collects the debris. You see here. So, these are your cutting edges. These sharp edges of a file or an instrument, these are the cutting edges. Then the area here is the flutes. The area which is in between the cutting edges is the flute. So it is basically nothing but a groove which collects the debris while you place the file in a root canal. And the cutting edge is also evident here. The cutting edge or the blade you see, that is nothing but the working area of the file. So these are the cutting edges. And these are the flutes. Next you have land. So this is nothing but a projection. Like if this is the cutting edge, this is the cutting edge, and this is your flute. So the other end one thing is the raised area is the land. This is the groove. Flute is basically the grooves, and the accentuated part or the lifted part is nothing but the land. That's called the land. Then you have pitch. Pitch is basically the distance from one cutting edge to the next. These are the cutting edges. If this and this is the cutting edge, so this is the pitch. Here it is clear. If this is the cutting edge, this is the cutting edge. So the distance between two cutting edge is pitch. Next is helix angle. So helix angle is it is the angle that is formed by the cutting edge and the long axis of the file. See, this is the long axis of the file. This is the cutting edge. So angle that is formed between the cutting edge and the long axis of the file is known as the helix angle or the helical angle. Long axis of the file and the cutting edge. And another most important thing is rake angle. That is when you do a sectioning of the file. If you do a perpendicular sectioning of the file, so the angle that is formed by the cutting edge and the radius of the file. This is the radius of the file. This is the cutting edge ka thing. So the angle that is formed on sectioning, if you see, so the angle that is formed between the cutting edge and the radius of the file is known as the rake angle. Now rake angle, if it is an obtuse angle, then it is positive. If it is an acute angle, then it is negative. So these are some basic terminologies when you come to an endodontic file. So these are the components or the basic terminologies of an endodontic file. Taper, flutes, blade, cutting edge, land, pitch, helix, rake angle. So you need not get confused with these terms now. These are simple terms. Flutes are basically the grooves which you have on the file. Taper is nothing but the per millimeter increase in the diameter of the file. Cutting edges are the sharp edges which you see on the file, the working areas of the file basically. Land area is nothing but the accentuated part that is present between the cutting edges and the flutes. Pitch is the distance between two cutting edges. Helical angle is the angle that is formed by the long axis of, it is formed between the long axis of the tooth and the cutting edge. And in this particular sectioning of the file, if you see, it is the angle formed by the radius and the cutting angle or the cutting edge of the file. So basically, the classification of endodontic instruments is divided into four types, and it is an evolving classification. That is, firstly, you have a thing which has got some disadvantages, then you cover up with an advantage, that is a modifying classification. So it's an evolving classification. Basically, you have the group one with hand operated endodontic instruments. Then you go with low speed instruments. Then you go to a faster speed, that is engine driven instruments. And then you have ultrasonics and sonics lastly. Slow से fast we are going. हमने hand use किया, then low speed के instruments use किए, then you have got engine driven instruments with a higher speed, and then the sonics and ultrasonics. So in hand instruments, there are three things, that is Barb brooches and rasps, K-type reamers and files, and headstrong files. Three things you have: Barb brooches and rasps, K-type reamers and files, and the edge files. In the low speed one, which latch type attachments. So basically, a latch type attachment, that is nothing but as I said, that you must have used your micromotors, and when you put your burr in that, it has got a kind of latch at the end. So these are the latch type instruments. That is a latch type attachment basically. In that you have gauge guidon drills and piezo reamers. Thirdly is the engine driven instruments, where you have rotary NITA instruments, reciprocating instruments, and self adjusting files. These are some hi fi terms which you actually need not understand at the UG level basically. These are just the names which you need to remember. A rotary, because it is engine driven, so rotary, reciprocating, and self adjusting files. And fourth are the ultrasonics and the sonic instruments. Basically, our focus is on barb brooches, reamers, files, hedge files, GG drills, and piezo reamers. These are the main things to be glorified here. So, coming to see K-type reamers and file, we'll see separately. First, we'll see the other ones. So, firstly is the barb brooches. Now, these are the barb brooches, as you can see in the picture. These are nothing but the earliest endodontic instruments which were used to extirpate the pulp, for the removal of the pulp and to enlarge the canal. So these were the instruments which were used to extirpate the pulp. These have got actually some sharp flutes and edges here to engage the pulpal tissue. So these were the instruments. These are very thin and fragile as well. So these were the instruments which were used to extirpate the pulp and to enlarge the size of the canal. They also helped in the removal of any kind of necrotic debris, absorbent points, cotton pledges, or any foreign material that was stuck in the root canal. So basically, these are basic important tools for the removal of any debris or the pulp. The line goes with them is the extirpation of pulp. So barb brooches are basically known for extirpation of pulp. And they are, in addition to extirpation of pulp, they can be used to remove any kind of necrotic material, any debris, any kind of paper points, absorbent materials. And several sizes of barb brooches, as you can see, the color coding here are present, like 6, 8, 20, 25. So these are the file sizes, sorry, 10, 15, 20, 25. So these are the various color coding for barb brooches as well, the standardization which we have learned earlier. So these are available in the barb brooch system as well, and various sizes are available. Also, you need to take care that agar you use a too wide barb brooch, so it will not permit the removal of the pulp tissue, or it can even force the pulp tissue apically when you insert it in the canal. Okay, so a suitable size barb brooch is required to extirpate the pulp. So basically, what you do is that you irrigate the canal with sodium hypochlorite solution and introduce the barb brooch till the working length which you have determined, or you introduce it unforcefully till you get a contact with the root canal walls. You engage it there, and then you rotate 360-degree to engage the pulp tissue, and you withdraw it again. So this is the basic mechanism, that you irrigate the canal with 5.2% sodium hypochlorite solution. Then you put the barb brooch until you get a binding with the canal. You engage the barb brooch, twist it to 360-degree, engage the pulp there, and then you remove it out. So this is the basic function of a barb brooch. Next is your these K-type reamers and files and H files we'll see a bit later. First we'll see GG drills, that is the gate guidon drills, and the piezo reamers. So basically the GG drills, they, as you can see here, these are the GG drills. This one, the first figure is of GG drills, and the second is piezo reamers. And these are. So the difference, as you can appreciate from the picture itself, that a longer shaft is present. This is the shaft is present in GG drill. Okay, so it has got a long thin shaft and a flame shaped head. Okay, so this is the flame shaped head. A shaft and a flame shaped head is present. Now, basic function of a GG drill is to remove the lingual shoulder during the access cavity preparation in the anterior teeth. Now, these are the designated or the standardized functions which we use. Other than this, we can use it, but the standardized function or the defined function for a GG drill is to remove the lingual shoulder during the access cavity preparation in the anterior teeth and to enlarge the root canal orifice. So basic function of GG drill is to enlarge the orifice and to remove the lingual shoulder during the access cavity preparation in an anterior teeth. And this is the piezo reamer, which has got long sharp flutes and a thick shaft. See, these are the long shaft. The cutting edge is that is long, and then the shaft is there, which is basically small. And primary use of this is nothing but the post space preparation when the gatta parcha has to be removed from the obturated canal. So when you have a very weakened tooth structure that has not got an enough tooth structure or enough crown portion, so you must have heard of post and core. Like you place a post in the canal and then you do a core preparation. So you have got that post and core thing. So for example, if this is a tooth and this is the canal, so you have obturated this canal with gatta parcha. So basically what you do is you introduce this gel and you remove the gatta parcha to a level so that you can introduce a post in this. So these piezo reamers are basically used to make the space for post and the removal of the gatta parcha for from the root canal. So basic function of a GG drill is removal of the lingual shoulder and enlargement of the root canal, because drills do that, right? And a reamer is nothing but you prepare a post space that is for the used for the preparation of the post space when the gatta parcha has to be removed from the root canal space. Coming to the K type files, reamers, and the H files. So basically these first ones are your files, reamers, and H files. Firstly, talking about the basic difference between files and reamers. So while manufacturing, if you see, now this is a manufacturing thing, files have got a square blank. So at the time of manufacturing, they have got a square blank, while reamers have got a triangular blank. And if you talk about H files, then they have got a round blank. So this is one differentiating point between a file and a reamer, that the blanks are, this has got a square blank, this has got a triangular blank. Now the number of flutes, if we talk about the number of flutes we see here, so files have got more number of flutes and reamers have got less number of flutes. One more difference. Third difference could be that there are tighter flutes. If you talk about flutes only, there are tighter flutes in files and there are looser flutes or loose flutes in reamers. Also, the files, they have got a very good cutting efficiency and they have got less cutting efficiency. And because they have got a good cutting efficiency, then the breakage chances also increases. Because they have got a great cutting efficiency, so breakage is also, like, they are fragile or they break easily, but the reamers don't, comparison to files, as compared to files. So these are basically, now the use of this is very much simple, that it is used in cleaning and shaping of the canals, but the basic differences which a file and reamer lies in this. And there are some modifications to files Only names are important. That is nothing but K-flex file and flexar files. K-flex file, that is an extra edge thing, and a flexar file. Now, before you start with any cleaning and shaping of the root canal space, the one thing which is very important is the usage of the files or the motions in which these files should be used within the canals. Like, it is very important that how do you engage the file in the canal and how do you rotate these files or how do you use these files. So, the most important thing is the motions that you use in a file when you do cleaning and shaping of the files. First is the reaming motion. So reaming motion is nothing but it is rotating clockwise. It is a clockwise rotating pushing motions. In quarter half turns you engage, and then in pulling motions you come out. Like is in clockwise rotating terms you push the reaming file in a reaming motion inside the canal. You engage the file and then you disengage in a mild pulling motion. And a filing motion is nothing but a push and pull motion. See, it would be clear with this video. See. So this is firstly they are showing the filing motion. That is nothing but a push and pull motion. And then they are showing the reaming motion. That is you engage clockwise rotation and then you disengage. Engage in a clockwise motion and then you disengage. That is you engage the file, you provide a clockwise motion or rotation inside this and then you disengage. So that is basically a reaming and a filing motion. A filing motion is nothing but a push and pull motion inside the file. And a reaming motion is that you put the instrument inside the canal, you rotate it in a clockwise motion, give it a half quarter turn, and then you disengage it in a pulling motion. Then you have the most common watch winding motion. That is nothing but it is clockwise, anti-clockwise, remove. Clockwise, anti-clockwise, remove. That is, you do give a clockwise turn, then you give a anti-clockwise turn, then you again give a clockwise turn and you remove. Again, you see a video here. See, clockwise, anti-clockwise, clockwise, anti-clockwise. And then you introduce the file inside the canal. So see, this is a terminology which combines two words. Circumferential as means the circumference, and filing motion, which we studied earlier, that is nothing but the push and pull motion. So if this is a root canal space or this is a root canal space, so you engage your file at the circumference. For example, if this is a tooth, if you say if this is a tooth and this is a canal, so you engage your file and then you do push and pull motions on all of the walls of the canals. That is around the circumference of the canal. That is circumferential filing. That is, you introduce the file and you press the file laterally against the walls in a in and out motion or the push and pull motion. Like you involve the buccal wall, the lingual wall, the mesial wall, the distal wall. So if the canal is like this, then you put the file here, then here, and in and out motion you carry out throughout the circumference of the canal. That is circumferential filing. So we have basically four motions of the instrument, that is reaming motion, filing motion, watch winding motion, and circumferential filing. So these are very important motions of the file, because when you go with the shaping and cleaning of the canal, you need to carry out these motions for the better cleaning and shaping of the canal. So this was our last topic, a last thing that we had covered here, because this chapter is a very wide chapter, and we have got several steps before we do now the steps for the shaping and cleaning of the canal. So you need to establish a working length, you need to have the patency filing, then you start with the techniques of shaping and cleaning. So it's a very long chapter, but I guess this is very important to understand before you start with the shaping and cleaning, the basic instrument components, the basic instrument standardization, the various motions, the various instruments. So, in this, we could have dealt with this only because of the time constraints. And I hope that you must have understood the basics of shaping and cleaning. Any doubts anybody would have, any doubts they would want to ask or they want to say?